Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So in today's video, this is a follow-up to a previous video that I made regarding what to expect with the all-new 4th generation 2024 Toyota Tacoma. Well, today is the unveiling day. It's pretty awesome to see what Toyota has come up with for this all-new redesign, both on the exterior, interior, as well as the power plant options for this all-new Tacoma. This has been one of the best-selling trucks over the last 18 years, and I'm super excited for this 4th generation. I also want to talk a little bit about how I'm planning to spec my 4th gen Tacoma. We don't have all of the details just yet. You can't actually build the 4th gen Tacoma just yet. So there's still some unknowns on this truck, but we have a better idea of what to expect, color options, not anything on the pricing just yet, still some speculations there. But on my what to expect video, I had a 2023 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro that I could use to speculate how the 4th gen was going to look. We also know what the latest generation for the Toyota Tundra looks like, and so a lot of people were speculating that it would look similar to that. And in some of these angles, it does. So we have a good updated video to go over with what we know so far about this truck after, of course, being able to see it. And there's been several videos so far going through some of the features and options for this all-new 4th generation Toyota Tacoma. So let's start off with looking at Toyota's website. Anyone can go on this website, of course, and you can go under upcoming videos or upcoming vehicles, which is the all-new 2024 Toyota Tacoma. So right off the bat, we are looking at a TRD Pro right now, which just has such a good look to it. Regarding the TRD Pro, since we're looking at one right now, this is 3 inches wider than the outgoing TRD Pro. So the orange one that I was in, or the Solar Octane that I was in, this is 3 inches wider, and it's mainly just the fender flare. So we have about 1.5 inches on each side. The all-new Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro also has a new crawl control system with the multi-terrain select. This is not a new system, however, from what I can tell, it's an updated system. Few different options and technology features along with that. You can also now use crawl control in both 4 low and in 4 high. On my 2017 Toyota Tacoma with crawl control, you could only use it in 4 low. Same went with the locking rear differential. I had to be in 4 low to use both of those systems. So it's pretty neat to see that you can use it in 4 high. You don't have to go to that extra step now to get some of those added benefits from that system. And the TRD Pro now has an electronic sway bar disconnect. This, I think, is definitely something that is highly beneficial with an independent front suspension. The Tacoma's not going to a solid front axle, so we have the independent front suspension, just like on the all-new Ford Bronco. We've had a lot of seat time behind the wheel of the Bronco with the sway bar disconnect, and it definitely helps since it's not a solid front axle. So it's super cool to see that. I believe it's only offered on the Pro. There's 7 other trim levels as well. I think that is just on the Pro. It might be on the Trail Hunter model as well. But let's get back to the 8 different trim levels, because we have some pricing that starts speculating right around $28,000 for the SR model, all the way up to around 50 grand for the TRD Pro. Now the 2017 TRD Off-Road that I had, bought it brand new, that was right around $34,000. If we look at these speculations for the TRD Off-Road, if I went with the same trim level, we're looking at a starting MSRP right around $38,000. So a little bit more expensive, of course, being about 6-7 years later, which honestly isn't too bad. But let's go over the colors now, and we'll go over the trim levels at the end of this video, so that way we can see some of the options, what's available now online and on the website. But as far as the colors go, for the exterior on this truck, we have a lot of colors. Some of these are from previous models or previous colors that they've used. We have Supersonic Red, Bronze Oxidized, which is an all-new color. I'm not sure what Underground is. Maybe some kind of dark black, dark charcoal, something like that. There's Windchill Pearl, which I assume would be white. We have Black, Ice Cap, Solar Octane, which was the TRD Pro that I had in my first video, what to expect. Blue Crush Metallic is a very, very dark blue, and then Celestial Silver Metallic. So those are the exterior colors. What's pretty cool now about the 24 Tacoma is the interior color options. When I bought my truck, and even for the 23-year models, you really only had two options. You got black leather or you got some kind of two-tone cloth. Now we get bolder, which I assume is gray. There's cockpit red, light gray, mineral, and black. So you have a few more options now, which is pretty awesome. The cockpit red is going to be a bold choice. I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. But it's awesome that you have a few different options now with the seating configurations. You have 6-way or 8-way power adjustability. I don't believe that is new. My seats, or my 2017, were manual, so I didn't have any automatic adjustments. But now let's move on to the engine options. This was a speculation, of course, as to what to expect. Was it going to be a 4-cylinder? Was the V6 still going to be retained? Were they going to do something completely different? Well, as we know right now, there is no V6 option. Maybe that's going to be something introduced in future models. It would be nice to see the V6 still being retained, maybe add a hybrid system to the V6 to make it a little bit more powerful, as well as being more fuel efficient. So currently, 2 engine options available. 2.4 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine with 278 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque. Still pretty healthy. That's more torque than the outgoing V6 model. You can get an 8-speed automatic or the 6-speed manual with this engine option. A lot of speculation from what I found when I made my previous video is that there was going to be a 10-speed automatic and no manual transmission available. So it's awesome to see that Toyota is still keeping the manual alive. However, it's interesting that they only offer the 6-speed manual with the smaller of the engine options. So if you want the manual, you'll have to sacrifice some horsepower and torque and go with this engine option. But I do love the fact that now there's an 8-speed automatic. In the 3rd generation Tacoma, they had a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic. I had the 6-speed automatic, and it did a lot of gear hunting. It wasn't really being utilized as a 6-speed automatic. I re-geared the truck, which helped, going to 529s versus I believe 418s were the stock gearing for that truck. But hopefully the 8-speed automatic is a lot better. They're utilizing the gears properly versus just throwing on an extra gear, because Toyota used the 5-speed manual from the 2nd gen, I believe, threw in an extra gear and didn't really re-gear it or get longer gears to utilize 6th gear. So hopefully the 8-speed is much, much better, or you go with the 6-speed manual and you can control the gears yourself. Now the second engine option is the same 2.4 liter 4-cylinder. It's a hybrid though, so it's the iForce Max that Toyota uses with the electric motor, 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. Only option is the 8-speed automatic. That is some serious power from that engine, almost double the amount of torque that is in the 3rd generation Tacoma. I think I probably want to go with that engine option. As cool as it is to see a manual in the Tacoma, it's the only mid-sized truck that currently and still offers a manual transmission. So if you want the manual, you have to go with the Tacoma, and I think it's awesome that they do offer that. But I like manuals in my sports cars. I think I want to keep the automatic for my Tacoma. I don't think I want to go with the 6-speed. Maybe it drives a little bit different than the 3rd gen manual, but I think I'm personally going to go with that larger engine option. So we don't have any specs on MPG. We don't have fuel capacity yet. There's a 21-gallon tank in the 3rd gen. No top speed, no 0 to 60, power numbers, things like that. No ground clearance or approach or departure angles from what I can find at the moment. So as we get more information trickling in, I'll make another video. Hopefully I can get my hands on one to do a full detailed review to go over all of those specs and some more of that information. I assume with the hybrid engine, we'll get better MPG than the 3rd generation Tacoma, because that would be nice to see. It is a pickup truck, but getting a smaller engine, more powerful, more fuel economy, it's just a win-win for this truck. So let's move on now to the exterior styling for this Tacoma. I'm going to stay on this white TRD Pro here. We can look at some other angles here in just a little bit. But from the front end design, it pretty much looks like a mini Toyota Tundra. We have a smaller grille, but in the lower section where the fog lights are, as well as that bumper valance, very similar to the body lines on the Tundra. Now this is the TRD Pro, so it's going to have some exterior lighting options that you won't find on some of the other trim levels, like the base SR, SR5. So this has some fog lights that are aftermarket. There's the lighting strip underneath the Toyota badge. And then this has LED lights up front, which is of course nice to see. This has a hood scoop too, which is going to be the same as the TRD Sport, I believe. And then some really cool lines that run down the hood. We do have some fake trim accents underneath the headlights, which is interesting to see that they are not functional. Parking sensors is going to be something that's optional, along with the full dynamic radar cruise control, and then a forward camera is also something that is optional too. But in general, this is the design for all of the different trim levels, fender flares, really cool design for the side. I'm digging this two-tone design as well. For this particular model, white with the full black roof, I think is something that would be cool to do on mine. I'm not sure what color I'm going with yet, so we will just have to see if that is something that is going to be in line with the combos that I'm doing. For this TRD Pro, skid plate up underneath. This has 18-inch wheels, 33-inch tires. TRD Pro also has a 1-inch lift up front, 1/2 inch in the rear for the lift kit. That's on the Pro and the Trail Hunter as well. You can also get optional 17-inch disc brakes now on some of these models. I know a lot of people weren't fans of the drum brakes for the rears. So if you want, you can opt for a disc brakes in all 4 corners, which is pretty impressive to see. And that's kind of it for the exterior. There's no rear shots that I can get a look at. Let's look to see. We have the Trail Hunter model in front of us here. Looks very similar to the Pro. However, there's no hood scoop for this. It does get a snorkel, and then some of these ARB accessories, as you can tell with them neck and neck here, or side by side. A few similarities, a few differences between the two. But if we go to a full gallery, maybe we can see some rear shots here, especially for the TRD Pro that is stamped in the tailgate. For some of the other lower trim levels, you will just see a Tacoma in the back. They also now get the electronic power liftgate or tailgate, so you can push a button on the driver's side tail light to open and close that. Of course, that might be an option and not on every trim level, but the rear end looks pretty cool, kind of similar to the outgoing model. Those are the only 2 pictures that we can really see right now. Steel bumpers are going to be on some of these trim levels as well. And so with the exterior pretty much wrapped up, it looks like a baby Tundra in a sense, and a lot of people were right on those speculations. I really like it. It looks like the 3rd gen Tacoma, but obviously a different shell. So it's cool. I do like it. I'm excited for it. I really cannot wait to at least see one in person and hopefully get some seat time in one before I buy one. But regardless, I do plan on buying this all-new Tacoma. And just by looking at a few of these other pictures here, it's definitely pretty unique. I love that there are a lot of different trim levels depending on your budget and what you would like to spec basically now for your Tacoma. We have so many different options that you could have a TRD Pro and a TRD Pro and have completely different trucks. There's that many options now for this truck. Let's touch briefly on the interiors, and we'll go to this picture right here. You can now get heated and ventilated seats, which is pretty cool to see. There are 2 different options as well for the gauge cluster and the infotainment system. On this picture that you see right now, for the gauge cluster, this has the 12.3-inch full digital screen. You can get a 7-inch, which obviously is much smaller. And then for the infotainment system, 8 or 14-inch screen. I think the 14-inch screen is definitely cooler. You get some auxiliaries on the side, on the passenger side, so that we can charge additional electronics. I'm not sure what the 8-inch would look like, probably like the outgoing 3rd gen, obviously a lot smaller, and I don't know the pricing between those 2 yet. So we can't build one yet to see how much these options are going to cost, and adding on to that base MSRP, how much you can put in options for this truck. But on the interior, you can see this is the red, which I think looks very, very nice. Climate adjustments are right in the middle. We have the shifter, wireless charging too, which is an option. For this model, it has the 8-speed automatic. And there's also the locking rear differential, which is not new. It's nice to see that. Sway bar disconnect is this button on the far right side in those toggles there, There's a camera button for this model. There's also a trailer system now, along with trailer braking. So just depending on what you're doing with your truck, we don't have towing speculations yet or towing capabilities. I'm assuming the outgoing model is around 6,500 pounds. This is probably going to be 6,000 to 6,800, somewhere in there. It's a smaller engine, more power though. So it's possibly going to be in that area, but with the trailer braking system, a little bit more confidence in towing some heavier loads. There's also now a bunch of different driving modes. I'm not exactly sure what those are, but there's a toggle where you can go through all of that. And for an all-new trim level, which we will get back to, if you look at this picture here, we now have, there's a lockable storage bins in the rear. So as you can tell with this Tacoma plate, it's opened, so there's storage on the back side. The passenger seat in this picture is folded all the way down. So there's storage areas where you can place some items there for the pre-runner trim level, which is awesome to see. As far as some of the technology features go, Toyota is still keeping their Toyota Safety Sense, which is going to have pre-collision, the dynamic radar cruise control. We have blind spot, there's a reversed assist for the trailering system, blind spot monitoring, which also can be activated when you have a trailer. So it will improve the blind spot angles or sensors when you have a trailer, just to aid you in that. So the safety system is definitely a plus for the Tacoma. It's getting improved, keeping some of the standard safety features from the 3rd gen and now incorporating those into the 4th generation. So let's go back now and scroll through the rest of the Tacoma or Toyota website, where we can look at some of the exteriors here where they show the older pre-runner there. We have those pictures that I showed. Some other interior shots. Look at the back of these seats. So these are exclusively for the TRD Pro. This is that isodynamic performance seat that I was mentioning earlier. So basically this is going to help provide a smooth and more confident ride for your driver and your front seat passenger. It's going to stabilize the driver's field of vision to improve focus, comfort, and reduce fatigue while you are hitting the trails. So basically it uses an air over oil shock absorber, which are the two that you see behind each front seat there. And it's going to allow for vertical and lateral seat movement simultaneously to dampen body movement and stabilize your head and your neck to keep alignment with your spine. This is something that's also based on your body mass. So depending on who is in the vehicle, obviously it will determine based on how much you weigh and the effect that the seat is going to have on your front seat passengers. That is something that is not only very cool technology, but it also looks cool from the back seat too. So impressive to see. You only get that for the TRD Pro, so if you like that, probably with that red color too, that would be a really cool combo. I also just noticed too that TRD Pro is also on the door panel, which is neat. I will say though, from this shot, you can see there's some auxiliaries in the back. Still no climate adjustments or climate fans for your backseat passengers. That was something that I talked about when I was in What Do We Know About the 4th Gen. I am shocked to see they don't have air vents for your backseat passengers. That is something that, it's not a deal breaker for me, but it's very interesting to see that they didn't incorporate that for some reason. As we scroll down now you can see the iForce Max, which is the larger of the engine options. Looks like 465 pound-feet of torque at 1700 RPM. This truck is going to get up and move. A lot of people don't really like the power output of the 3rd gen Tacoma. Well, now you get the big boy engine, you're going to be getting up to speed very, very quickly. As we keep scrolling down, check out this interior for this with Toyota over on that passenger side. Some really cool trim accents. I love the steering wheel. You have a lot of controls on it. There's also an optional auxiliary panel that you can get on the left side of the steering wheel. So if you hook up compressors like I've done, exterior lighting, you don't have to put in an aftermarket set of switches. You just hook them right up to there and you are good to go. Very cool to see that incorporated now. And I love this interior. It looks very, very nice. Even the door panels have a cool design to them. I'm not sure if these are what the material is yet, some kind of durable rubber maybe for the door panels. Going to be a lot easier to clean, especially if you're off-roading. or just getting it dirty in general. We have some more info about the TRD Pro here, the Fox suspension. You can also get the Old Man Emu is the suspension for the Trail Hunter, which is pretty cool to see. I had that on my Tacoma. But for the TRD tuned Fox suspension, you now have these internal bypass shocks with 2.5-inch housings and the remote reservoirs in the rear. So if you want a little bit more travel, you're doing some high-speed off-roading, that can get some more oil to the shocks to keep them cooler and provide some more dampening for the suspension as well. We have the Trail Hunter there, which is an all-new trim level. Surprisingly, the Pro is still the top trim level, I believe, with the Trail Hunter being one underneath it. As far as the speculation for the pricing goes, that is what it appears to look like. Let's jump to this pre-runner real quick. I believe it's been about 10 years or so since Toyota had a pre-runner model. So this is a two-wheel drive truck. Still has a locking diff though, which is awesome to see, and a few other off-road goodies. But this is that interior shot that I showed where you had the lockable space in the back and the passenger seat that folds flat. So if you need a kind of a smaller work truck like this, it's pretty cool that they have brought that back into this lineup. So let's start at the top where we have the TRD Pro. Where we have the horsepower, it will show you what engine option is available or which one you can get with the trim level there. Shows you the suspension as well as some of the performance for the seats. And then the TRD Pro also gets some high clearance bumpers both in the front and the rear. So that right off the bat eliminates the TRD Pro for myself. I want to do all these modifications. I want to do the cutting and all of that to show you guys buying more of a base trim level in a sense, we'll see, and then putting on all these features. But if you want to buy these trucks as is, basically the Pro and the Trail Hunter, even the Limited in a sense, but the Pro and the Trail Hunter, if you're buying these trucks, hopefully you're not replacing what you're paying for, because you're getting the suspension, you're getting some other features too. So we have the Trail Hunter here, the Old Man Emu lift kit, same bumpers, a little bit different, but same design, and then available 5 or 6 foot bed. So Toyota is still offering those two different bed sizes. We have the Limited as well, which is going to be a little bit higher in price than the off-road, which is interesting to see, but the Limited is also the only trim level to offer full-time all-wheel drive. So engine options there, we have a little bit different of a suspension. So if you're not looking for that hardcore off-roader in a sense, you want a little bit more comfortable, relaxing truck for on-road, you can get the Limited with that different suspension setup, 18-inch wheels, and then that power up and down tailgate, along with power running boards, which is cool to see. Now we're getting into the TRD lineup. So we still have the TRD Off-Road, the TRD Sport, and now a TRD Pre-Runner. And so most of these were similar to what I speculated, what we know about the Tacoma, with the exception of the Trail Hunter and the Pre-Runner. So the Sport and Off-Road look to be fairly similar to the third generation as far as the Sport having the hood scoop, Off-Road not having the hood scoop. We have the Bilstein suspension for Off-Road and then a Sport Tune suspension for the Sport model, of course. So those suspensions are going to react much differently. Sport will be a little bit on the softer end. Off-Road is going to be still soft, but a little bit different for some different articulation. And now here's where we have the available 6-speed manual transmission, but then the last two trim levels, SR and the SR5. And so those are going to be more basic, of course, not as many options, smaller screens, not maybe not heated and ventilated seats, maybe cloth, not leather, things like that. So again, just depends on your budget. So personally for me, I might be going with another TRD Off-Road, maybe the TRD Sport. I don't need the Pro, I don't need the Trail Hunter because I want to add a lot of this, but there's some things like the locking rear diff that I would like to have on the truck already. I don't think I need crawl control anymore. I've had that on my third gen. It was cool, not necessarily something that I need, but I think those are probably the two. The Pre-Runner's pretty cool, but I'd like the full double cab with the extra rear seating space. That is what we know. That's all the notes that I have for the 2024 4th generation Toyota Tacoma. I am super excited. I really hope that I can get my hands on one as soon as possible, just because I want to show you guys what we do with these trucks. Take it off-road in the stock form, see what it can do. I got to figure out which trim level has the sway bar disconnect. If it's only the Pro and the Trail Hunter, maybe that's something to do aftermarket. I know that's probably going to be costly, or you just can manually do it. We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited to take it off-road, show you guys what it's like. I've had 2 Tacomas so far, so third Tacoma is going to be awesome to have. I can't wait for some more updates to build the Tacoma as well online. Hopefully we will see that in the next couple weeks, so that way we can get some better information and really start to build these trucks, see them out on the road. We have a lot of different options, so there's going to be multiple trim levels, multiple options to see for this truck, and I am super excited for it. I hope you guys are as well. I'm sad to see my 3rd gen go, but I'm excited to start on a new project with this 4th generation Tacoma. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with my process and getting the 4th gen. I'll try to update you guys as much as I can with what's going on, the information that I get as far as being able to buy one and purchase one, that process too. So stay tuned for all of that content to come. I'll see you guys in the next video.